The way we take care of ourselves is ever evolving. And what we know for sure is that our mind and spirit are linked to our physical body, and that our wellness seems to extend into our communities and the planet we all share. It is very, very clear that wellness is interconnected. We love spending time with you to explore and practice the breakthroughs, the insights, and the passions of incredible people helping us all see the world in a whole new light. This is Health Gig.
This week on Health Gig is part 2 of the conversation. If you missed last week's conversation, go on back and listen, and then come on back. We'll be here and we'll continue the conversation.
So today on Health Gig, we have Jessica Long, and Tricia and I have been really looking forward to this conversation. So welcome to Health Gig, Jessica.
Oh, thank you so much.
What would you say was your high point in the Paralympics, and what would you say it was your low point?
Yeah, I mean, I've learned something from each games. So it's
That's
very
a better way to say it. What did you learn from all these different?
each game. Because that's when I do a lot of my public speaking, I talk a lot about what I've learned. My life has been in increments of 4 since I was 12 years old. So when I went into
Right.
Athens, I was the underdog. I was not supposed to go. I won 3 gold medals. And now that I'm older, I can
Wow.
look back and be like, oh my gosh, you won 3 gold medals. Like I see how it, like I'm still the youngest to ever win 3 gold medals or even a gold medal. So to me, that was exciting. I was the underdog. And then going into Beijing, I set this crazy wild big goal for myself to win 7 gold medals like Mark Spitz. And it was going really, really well. And I was doing all the things right. But then on day 4, I got a bronze medal. And this was a really big turning point because it definitely challenged the whole you are enough with or without the gold medal. And I remember meeting my parents up in the stairwell with my bronze medal. And the first thing I asked them, and I had already won 2 gold medals. And then I got that bronze. And I remember being like, do you guys still love me? Right. That was the biggest question. Now I'm like, whoo, I'll take a bronze medal any day.
Right.
Now we call them our rosé medals, but at 15, I was going to retire. I was done. I didn't want to be a part of, it just hurt me so bad. So I had to really learn my worth and my value those next 4 years. Going into London was the best Paralympics for me. I won 5 gold, 2 silver, and a bronze. But then I actually found out about my birth family. So it was like mixture. And then Rio was a really hard games. So Rio in 2016, I had 2 shoulder injuries, an eating disorder. It was just a mess. The whole thing was like, can we redo this? And I had to really learn again, who are you with or without the success? I mean, I still won 6 medals, but I look back and I try to think, okay, somehow you had the determination to still step up and race on day 10 after being beaten down and like not like I think I got a couple 4th places. I didn't even medal. Like it was just hard. And then Tokyo was the pandemic, and that brought its own challenges, but I was just really like I think for me it just was like you've got nothing left to prove. And then even Paris was really hard because my first 2 races, I got 6th and 4th place. And I was like, oh my God. So, and then somehow I won 2 gold at the end. And I was like, how? But I think for me, when I look back, I've always loved this idea that if you're not enough without a gold medal, you'll never be enough with one. And I think that's something I've really tried to live my life by. Even the interviewers just were like with the 4th place. I was like, well, I really have to practice what I preach. I am enough without the medal, but I don't know. I think it's part of the game. You're going to have really, really high highs and really low lows.
You talk too in the book about the time that you were brought into the media, and this must have been, I don't know which
Oh,
games.
this was Beijing.
Yeah. And what was that like? And was that when you had the eating disorder too?
Was
During
this where
Beijing?
I think where they said I had failed? Was that what the one?
Well, this one was they didn't have any questions for you.
Oh.
And they had brought you in and they were like, they had talked about all this other stuff. And then you come in and they're like, no questions. And so the feeling that you just talked about, like you were so dismissed.
I think that was Rio, that it was just like, well, we don't have anything to say to her. And I was like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
This was before Paralympics was even gaining momentum, where
Yes. Okay.
I couldn't believe it. We were doing the media summit and there was only 3 Paralympic athletes. And I remember being escorted with our Team USA escort, and it was all these interviewers, and I'll never forget. It was a pretty big publication too, and they're like, "No, we don't have anything to say. Like, we don't need to talk to her." And I was like, "I am a 7-time Paralympic gold medalist. I have a story to tell. It's a good story, and I have perspective." And like, I think it just really shocked me. And I remember right then and there thinking, "I'm going to grow this movement." And now you
Yeah.
look around at the media summit, and it's like equal.
Yeah, to be able to have been part of that is incredible. How you have grown the movement and how it really is incredible. talk a little bit about your eating disorder and how you dealt with that and how did
Yeah.
you identify it and how are you working with that now?
I do think it's a mixture of things. It's wanting control. I think a lot of people, whether they realize it or not, there's something in your life that you feel the need to control. And even like right now, like I like need to clean. I'm like, I just need to clean and feel the control. But at that point in my life, I think it was right after I had met my birth family. I didn't take care of myself, right? I didn't start therapy till after, and I should have started therapy right away. And I think I just felt like so crazy lost. Like, wow, I just met my birth family. I forgave her, but how do I feel? Like, it was all these mixed emotions. And then I was also swimming on a swim team at the time that just kept telling me that I was too big. And I was like,
Oh,
I'm working out 10 times a week or 6 days, 2-hour practices. Like, I do need fuel. It was amazing too because I got my tonsils out and I lost 15 pounds. And everyone was like, Jess, you look so amazing. You lost so much weight. And I remember thinking, I didn't even know
oh,
I needed to like, and I think that's the really sad thing. It's like words are so powerful. And as soon as it was being told to me that I was too big or I looked really good after not eating for 2 weeks with the tonsils or all sorts, it all just kind of added up. It just, I didn't have an appetite. Honestly, I look back and I'm like, I truly was just like, I'm not eating. I remember one time I was literally swimming 55 to 60 miles a week and I was eating like almonds and like cubes of cheese, like,
oh.
and coffee. At that point, I could make it through, right? I couldn't do that forever. Thankfully, it was just truly a season. But I definitely think there was a lot of damaging words, whether people meant it for good, right? Like, even just telling me that I lost weight. I mean, even that made you think, like, oh, was I too big before? So it was a mixture of things.
But
Yeah.
even that, to be able to talk to women about that, because, that whole idea of that, I think now people are realizing being strong is important. And you're a leader in that too, that you've experienced it, get it, and now you can speak about it to other women that understand that it happens and that they can become strong like you. Maybe not win everything you won, but
I really,
That
and I
might be
think
hard.
too,
yeah, okay, right.
I really try to, and I'm so thankful. My mom was never a mom that like talked about her weight in front of us, or like she was just really incredible. Like, let's fuel your
Yes.
body and eat, healthy. But even as part of like being a swim team, right? We talk a lot about like we don't have big backs, we have strong backs, or just
Yes.
changing the language that it's like skinny isn't going to make me a strong swimmer, right? Like that doesn't work with what I do. And you have to reframe your mindset. And I think as
Right.
long as you're being healthy, like you just feel good. And I don't get on scales anymore. I really have to stay away. Even at the doctors, I have to speak up and say, like, this is just numbers are not good for me. And I can't look.
You just mentioned the reframe. Dora and I, you actually talk about that a little bit in the book too. And you talk about breathing, breathe in for 4 seconds and then exhale for 6 seconds in part of your reframe. How does breath play a role for you in reframing, but also as an athlete?
Yeah, we do a lot of breath control, especially with like
Yeah.
competing and stuff. Especially when you're like, I was just right in Paris and I'm walking out from a tunnel basically into 15,000 people, right? You have to find ways to just calm your nervous system or to get the most oxygen to every bit of your body. And it's just a technique we've always done. I think my coach, Dave Dennison, was the first to really introduce just like we called it nostril breathing. But we would sit down and we would visualize our races and calm our heart rate. And it's just something that has worked so much. There's so much power in breath and just calming your nervous system, but also like there's also that excitement. Like, right, I'm doing it before I compete or I do it before I speak to people, right? Like I love speaking and sharing my story, but there's going to be many moments in life that it's intimidating and it's good to get out of your comfort zone. It's good to feel those nerves, right? But
Right.
how do you calm yourself down too is very
Yeah.
important. That's a skill. It takes time, but a lot of nostril breathing to calm your heart rate and to get as much oxygen to your muscles as possible.
Just a little side note. I saw that you were an Emmys presenter. The Emmys were the other night. How was that?
Yes.
What was
Tell
it
us.
like?
Okay, so I did that 3 years ago, but Team USA just had a whole bunch of athletes. I got to present, and I remember Kate Winslet smiled at me and waved, and I got to talk to the whole cast at the point. I think it was Schitt's Creek, and they all held
Oh,
my
yeah.
Tokyo medal, and I got to walk the red carpet with all the celebrities, and I was like, "This is so wild." It was really cool. It's a world that's like I don't think I could be in this world 24/7, but it was a very special night. I got to bring my husband Lucas.
Yeah, so tell us about your husband and how you met him and everything.
Yeah. We're
We
interested
love
in
love
that.
stories. Yeah.
Yes.
So I was like, no man or no boy is going to interrupt my training. But I met him when I was 22. So we're coming up 10 years. We met at a flannel Friendsgiving. So everyone wore flannel, brought a Thanksgiving dish, and I liked some
That's
other
so
guy.
funny.
And Lucas wouldn't leave me alone. I was like, what are you doing? And then we decided to meet up for coffee 3 months after. His mustache was gone. His hair was super cute. He was all tan. And I was like, oh no. I was like, I'm in trouble. But we had a foundation first. I would say that's the most important thing is we laid down a foundation of friendship. Even on our toughest days, we just go back to the fact that we have a solid foundation. And we're still figuring it, we've only been
Yeah.
married 5 years.
Yeah. But to be an Olympian, what's his role for you? I mean, what do you expect from him?
Well, right now he left me with no food in the fridge, so I'm mad at him. But I don't expect a lot. I think the biggest thing for him is just I definitely with my adoption and everything, I need to just feel love, protected, and just taken care of in those little needs that like I trust him, right? Like there's not a lot of people that I always trust to help me, right? It goes back to little Jess falling down and not wanting help to put on my prosthetics. It's the same that like the fact that I'm giving him that part of me is a big responsibility.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just to help me when I need help and to just love me. Yeah.
Jess, do you think that, and it sounds like you've embraced it, you've got it, you made it work obviously for you, but is there going to be a time where the little girl feels safe, like always? Or do you think it's a life kind of thing? Like it's something,
I
you
don't
know what I mean?
know.
Like the triggers and things. I think we all suffer from this, not nearly to the extent that you were. Just if you can talk about that abandonment feeling, that's kind of universal.
It just comes up at the most random times, right? It could be a song, it could be a movie, it could be something that I'm like, I've already worked through this. Why am I feeling this way?
Right, right.
And I think it's okay to recognize that that is my story and that is true and it doesn't have to control me, but it is going to come up because it's real. It's a fact that I was left in an orphanage. It's the fact that like I feel these things. And it's so crazy because it doesn't go away. If anything, I will probably be in therapy the rest of my life. I'm a person that has to revisit it over and over again. Like the comprehending piece, it's like, I know we've gone over this before, but let's do it again. Like
Right.
even in when I got married, right? Like I had already been in therapy for years, but there were things that really shocked me that I was like, oh, I don't want to bring my adoption into this, but he also loves the person that was adopted. I think I'm going to go through it big time when I have my own kids, right? Because
Right.
I know when I find articles that my birth mom held me for about 10 minutes. And I think when we get to that point, holding my own baby for 10 minutes, in those first 10 minutes, I've even prepared Lucas, like, you have to know that this might be emotional. It's going to be like 30 some years of emotions that might come pouring out. Like, he's up for the challenge and he's a lot nicer than me. I'm very tough. I have to sometimes remember he's on my side. It just proved to me that like he's up for the challenge and he really truly loves me for me. But
Yes,
yeah, it
yeah.
comes up at the most random times. Even like you can't predict sometimes the struggle.
And what do you do? I mean, is that when the breath work comes in?
I have to swim.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
get in the pool.
I think there's a sense of that control. And I think sometimes I can't become obsessive with my control, but I also think there are moments that I might just need to literally, this is crazy, I might need to put on my podcast, my favorite podcast, and I might need to clean or organize and just go into that mindless act of just feeling like I have some type of control. I don't have control over the fact that I don't have legs, and I'll never have them, right? Like, you can't change your circumstance. But I think that that's something that truly helps me, slowing things down, doing my breath work, just grounding myself is really important.
Jess, is that a hereditary trait? Is that something that could be passed on
From
or
what
is
we're
it
told, no,
genetic?
it's just
No.
a
Okay.
random birth defect. Yeah. But I do know even that, like, that's something to process, right? Like, I could handle it and I would know exactly how to handle it, but I don't obviously want any child to have to go through all of it. But it's something that even Lucas and I were dating, right? You have to have those hard conversations. And I do know that if I've made it this far,
Yes.
What level of pain do you maintain each day, or how's that?
it's really interesting because like I don't actually have as much bone as you probably think. So like I probably on my left side have like this much bone that I'm balancing on, and then I have a lot of like a bursa sac and skin. I think I'm so used to the pain, but there are moments that like I'll grab Lucas's forearm and just squeeze. I just need a release. It's unpredictable, right? Like my legs will just hurt after traveling the last week. The weather plays a role. Like right now we're getting into fall, which feels amazing on my legs. But in summertime, if I have any little bit of sweat, like it's just so painful and miserable. It's ongoing. Like I don't even think I always recognize the pain. But like if I were to do a day trip in New York, like I'm always looking for, like I need to know the next time I can sit down. But I think sometimes like if I seem irritable, or like even Lucas and I, we talk a lot about this, like I'm like, sometimes I understand why elderly people are sometimes miserable, because I'm like, it's just not fun. But I also know that it's just part of my story. And if I need to take Advil or take a break, like that's okay.
What does your day look like now? I guess it was different when you were training a couple months ago, but what does it look like when you're training? And then what does it look like on the day to day, like your day to day life?
Training, I mean, I literally am like, I need to get back to a pool, but my car is in Colorado. So I'm like, I might Uber to a pool later. But typically like out at the Olympic Training Center, I would wake up probably around 5:36, head to the pool, do stretching, training from 7 to 9, breakfast, go up and take a ice bath or hot bath depending on how I was feeling. Then I'd climb back into bed and literally nap. I'd be so exhausted from a 2-hour practice. And then I would wake up, get a little lunch, head right over to the pool, do my stretches, swim another 2 hours. And that's when I feel like I could do, like I'm like, okay, I would finish training around 5:30, depending on the practice, right? Whether it was a sprint day, an aerobic day, pulling, like it depended on the, because different strokes just wipe. If I'm doing like an IM day, which is all 4 strokes, I'd be exhausted. Depending on that day, I'd either find the energy to go out and like go to the mountains in Colorado or go downtown and have a slice of pizza or salad. Or I just literally climb back into bed. And it's just, it's boring. It's not glamorous. Like if I'm training, I'm like truly just like the laziest. Like I'm so exhausted, I can't do anything. But if I'm not training, like now that I'm not training for something as intense, my husband and I will get up, we'll go walk Goose, or Puppy. I'll probably come back, do some emails, make breakfast, do some cleaning, maybe go off and do Pilates. Like I work on my speeches, do my podcasts. I feel like it's just, I don't know. I don't have a ton throughout the day, but I keep my days busy.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
You mentioned the different days that you do the 4 different strokes that is hard. I'm just curious, what's the hardest stroke for you?
Yeah, I think butterfly is a really hard, it's my favorite stroke, but butterfly is definitely such a hard, because it's both arms just literally lifting my body up in the water. Like it takes every bit of muscle and every bit of thinking and not like complete symmetry. I've never liked breaststroke. I've retired breaststroke, so I did swim breaststroke in Paris. But freestyle is kind of the foundation. Backstroke is such a fun to flip over, but I really definitely struggle. Yeah, fly is one of the hardest, but I also think that's why I loved it, because everyone thought I couldn't do it as a kid. So I was like, okay, well now I have to
I think I
master
can.
it.
When you're swimming and you are racing, what is in your mind? Like, what do you think, or do you think?
I kind of black out, but I'm also like, okay, you know what to do. It's just swimming, like move your
It's
body.
just
But like,
go. Yeah.
it's crazy. But during training, sometimes it's truly just, you can sometimes go through autopilot, or you can overthink your stroke. And those are the hardest days, when you're overthinking your stroke, just because I'm like, I don't know, you're just so hyper aware of what you're doing not right, and you're in so much pain, and you're like you can't breathe and your lungs are on fire. And sometimes I'm like, why and how do I enjoy this? But it's the best high. I don't know. I never have regretted a workout, but it's hard.
So you said Mark Spitz, you were going after his medals. Like who else? Like Michael Phelps? I mean, from Baltimore? Like, was there that kind of thing that you went after them, or how did your mind work?
I really liked number 7, so that's why I plan to end my career in LA in 2027, so 7 games. I trained with Michael for a few years here at NBAC, so I know Michael really well. But no, I think for me, I feel so content with what I've been able to do, and even getting these 2 gold medals, like it was just amazing, and I'm just celebrating that.
But I mean, as a kid, like, they talk about like I was and I went, whatever, and you were inspired by somebody.
Well, I always really admired Erin Popovich, who was one of my teammates, and it was really amazing when I surpassed her medal count in Tokyo. She had 14 gold medals, and she's like our director now. And that was a really cool moment, because I was like, I always looked up to you, and I literally surpassed your medals. So she has 14 Paralympic gold, and now I have 18, and I'm like, that's
Gosh.
pretty cool.
So, obviously, our podcast is called Health Gig, and we talk about health and wellness. What are your favorite health and wellness resources or things that keep you performing your best?
I think first and foremost is just keeping my mind really healthy, right? So I am a big advocate for letting people know if you're not okay, or just reaching out, or whatever that might look like. I had to go on antidepressants for a season, or just letting people know that you're struggling. I think that's a huge thing with that has helped my performance. I am such an emotional swimmer. Like if I'm having a bad day, my coach will know. But I think that communication, right? Being really open, it takes work. It's that going back to that vulnerability piece. I think really taking care of my mind and my body. I think that's super important. I love Epsom salt baths so much. I think that's one of my favorite things to do. Reading, I think that's important. Journaling, all those things I think really help me to be my best self. And I think that's the goal, right? No matter what I'm doing, like I just want to be my best self. And I think that for anyone listening, right, just being your best self, whatever that might look like, and taking time for you before you pour into others is really important.
Tell us about your spiritual life and your faith and how that plays such a big role in your life.
I'm always like, when do I talk about this? Yeah, I think, for me, I grew up in a Christian household and it was something that was always just like present and available, but I definitely felt like I wasn't worthy, right? I didn't feel like I was worthy or just even enough. And I struggled. I fight things a lot in my life, right? It works in the water, but sometimes can hold on a little too tightly. And I think for me out in Colorado, I found a really amazing church and I just realized that I didn't want to have my two fists the rest of my life. I wanted to release and give God all of me, not just part of me. When I was 22, that's when I gave my whole heart to Christ. And I just realized that I wanted to truly be part of God's family and that I knew that I was enough. But if anything, it's not just easier, right? Like, I don't know. I know that I'm not doing it alone.
It's amazing to be able to have that strong faith,
Thanks.
So tell us, how are your siblings? How's your brother that was adopted
Yeah. So
with you?
Josh is great. I mean, Josh is one of the kindest souls. I think my parents did learn after though that he has fetal alcohol syndrome. So he has mild autism and he is just the kindest thing ever. He's so sweet. I mean, I don't know, they're all great. Amanda, my older sister has 4 kids. Steven has 2 kids.
Wow.
Amanda's a nurse. Steven is a police officer. Hannah does theater and dance. She just got married. She's living on a farm. But I think the biggest thing is my parents just wanted each kid to feel that they were good at something and they really invested into each kid's hobbies. I never felt like just because I was a swimmer didn't mean that everyone else had to be a swimmer. So I don't really know how they managed all of that, but they just wanted each kid to feel really good about something. And my parents were awesome, even just in my swimming, because it was always my decision and my commitment. We were that family that I'm so grateful, but we had dinners every night and movie nights on Fridays, and we were all homeschooled and just a really close family.
Oh, right. You were homeschooled. Who all came to the Olympics in Paris?
Yeah, so my parents, Grace and her new husband, Hannah, my brother Josh, my friends, my husband Lucas, my cousin. I don't know, it was a lot of people. It was the most
So
so it was a lot of
awesome.
people. So I just remember thinking, thank goodness they came the second half when I actually won a medal. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yes.
Such a good support system.
Oh, can I ask one other question? I was going to say, how are you going to use all this energy and all that you've got going? And how do you sort of see your life unfolding?
I still plan to swim in LA in 2028. And that will
Yes.
be the farewell, the final. But I love, in the meantime, doing just public speeches. And I think I hit a lot of different points, whether it's being a professional athlete, having a disability, being adopted, abandonment. Like there's so many categories. But I think for me, that's been one of the most amazing things that has allowed me to truly be able to give back to people. I am so excited. My new book comes out, right? I'm so excited for that. And just for people
Yes.
to read it. I would love to do more with girls who are adopted. I think that's really important. Maybe adoption in sports or start my own foundation or organization. I don't know what that looks like yet, but I don't know. I think I keep pretty busy, but I'm just really grateful that even just sitting here and talking to you, right? It's 20 years in the making of competing and doing things in the dark when
Yes.
nobody cared or even knew my story. So it's really exciting, and I just can't wait to see who else I can impact with my story.
You have such a great story to tell, and we
Do.
hope everyone buys your book and reads it because it's
Yes.
so inspirational. And
So inspirational.
thank you, Jessica, for coming on our podcast. We've just
Oh,
loved
thank
it.
you so much.
Thank you for joining us on Health Gig. We loved having you with us. We hope you'll tune in again next week. In the meantime, be sure to like and subscribe to this podcast and follow us on healthgigpod.com. I'm Tricia.
And I'm Doro.
Be well.